Good morning, channel friends. This lovely little cabinet was given to me by Franco, who's obviously filming right now, and I've been waiting for years to get my hands on it. So just know that I'll never sell it. This is a piece I'm making for myself, and I want to do it exactly the way I've had it in my mind for a long time. It has some obvious issues, like a varnish, an enamel that was probably applied back in the day without primer, so in a lot of spots it's chipping off. So the base will be chosen by me specifically based on these, let's say, issues. Why? Because I need to cover them. If I had to strip or sand everything, it would take me about an hour, and I don't want to do it. So I choose the base according to the issues of the furniture, but honestly, it doesn't have many problems. It's really beautiful. Look at it. It's super cool. It's crooked the right way, but it's wood. Real wood. So I still don't know what I'm going to put on it, but I'm not giving it up. It could become my spice cabinet, because I have a corner in the kitchen, kind of ugly, stuck there with all the jars hidden away, and whenever I look for my spices, I can never really find them. So I need to figure out with Stefano what kind of deal we can make to get it into the kitchen and turn it into my spice cabinet. Shall we get started? You have to say yes. The base of this cabinet, as I said, is really chipped. It has some problems and even some drips stuck on. I need to cover this problem because I just can't spend 2 hours today sanding or removing everything. If we wanted a perfect, top quality job, we'd have to get in here with a spatula, keep working on the spots where it's chipping, give it a sanding with a coarse grit, 60 or 80, then apply paint remover to strip everything. Next, steel wool, alcohol, finish everything and you've got yourself a travaillet. As Franco would say, a job well done. Today I lack time. It'll still turn out awesome, so I'm going to be smart. Today's trick is to use the base color I've chosen, which is Rocher, a very, very light hazelnut, exactly like the heart of a Piedmont hazelnut. That's the color, mixed with magic star powder. You know, it's the powder that gives texture and makes the surface a bit rougher, troweled, just the way I like it. This helps me get a base that covers all flaws, providing a fantastic base as it sticks well even to very glossy enamel. It also reinforces the surface, getting into cracks and preventing peeling. We've done ABBA many times, scraping off whatever was loose, so whatever is stuck to the furniture now won't come off and will stay. I've already prepared my tray. I always put the plastic cover in so I can either throw it away or wash it, depending on the situation. I pour in a good amount of Rocher because I need it for the whole piece of furniture. A bit of magic star powder, the thickening magic powder, here. I put in quite a bit. Let's say about 1, 2, 3, 4 full teaspoons, more or less, on this percentage. And now I'm going to make it really mousse-like, all thoroughly mixed together, completely. You see the long nap roller, because I want to create a textured finish like a work of art. So I'll use the brush Mi Voglino Tart, or Tut Mi Voglino, however you want to put it, in some spots where the roller just can't reach. On all the other areas, the smoother, flatter ones, I use the roller. This way, I'll get a strong textured effect, a roughness that guarantees a super textured base. Now I'll finish mixing my potion, then I'll get started. With the brush, I'll do the corners first, then with the roller the flat parts. Just like that. I know you'll see little difference on video, because obviously my base color is a bit yellowish and now I'm using a color that's pretty similar to the base, but I can assure you that by the end of the restyling, I'll surprise you. So I go carefully into the grooves, doing all the edges, and as you can see, first I spread a bit, Get well into the nooks and crannies, and then dab a little. This already gives the surface a textured effect on the first coat. I load the roller like this. I take a bit of paint with the texturing powder in it, load it gently, lift it up, fill the roller, but not too much, because remember, since it has a long nap, you don't want to make it too heavy. So as you can see, it's full, but just on the surface. Like this, I go over the surface, spreading only as long as the roller has something to give. Like this. See, when the roller no longer gives me that textured effect, that's it. I need to reload it, otherwise this technique won't work. That's it. Like this. This technique is used to cover up all the flaws that the furniture has at the base. So use little paint, work on small sections at a time, lots of texture. Basically, everything we wouldn't normally do with regular paint. I go here, drain the roller well. You see, I always need to have the roller nice and fluffy, like this. See how the nap is high, and then I go on. I keep going. It's super easy, and it'll also save you a lot of effort, because getting a texture like this on furniture with a brush is definitely a lot more work. With the roller, look, in a second you have a super textured surface, perfect for the first full coat. Obviously, when we do the second coat, it'll be even more textured and will cover up any kind of flaw. I'll keep going. The first coat is already completely dry. Obviously, we'll go straight in with the second coat and make the surface even more textured. Just like this. The vibe of this piece of furniture is really about creating something unique, aged, and very expressive. So we picked the stencil called La Cucina di Elisa because Emma designed it based on my kitchen tiles. We also made a video on a wall showing how, with an optical illusion, these tiles looked real, but actually it was just the stencil. Check it out in the Magic Wall category on our YouTube channel. What are we going to do? We're using 3 contrasting colors, and every piece will be in a different color. Corteccia, a beautiful, warm, rich brown with a hint of violet. Then Sunset Blue, a Magic Paint classic that's been around for years, which is a light blue with a significant touch of gray, and then we make a third color. How do we make it? By using the base color, which is always Rocher, the one we applied as the base, and then we add a bit of Corteccia to darken it up. This way we've got a neat trick, creating a new color without spending any money, first of all. And secondly, we're sure it'll look good with the others because it's a mix of colors we already used and the base color, so it can't possibly clash. Of course, let's see if it's right or if I need to add a bit more brown. Obviously, it shouldn't end up too dark, otherwise it's not worth it. For the stencil, it's up to you whether to use an oval 30 brush almost dry. Remember, you need to offload some paint before dabbing, or the brushes for the stencil. Remember, there are size 8 and size 12, which is bigger. I'll use this one, you use that one, and let's see how it goes. Now Emma and I will split up. Each of us will pick a color and fill in this stencil in different ways. Always remember, for best stencil results, you need to offload a lot of paint. With the oval 30 brush, I will get a much more delicate effect than what Emma does with Sunset Blue, which is a little more visible. The moment you lift the stencil and look at what comes out, the optical effect changes. It's always important to avoid smudging. A smudged stencil is ugly. Look here. Voila! Now we continue alternating the colors and trying not to let them get too close together, right?
Yes.
Let's try. Look carefully at the very first pairing. Let's look up and see how the first pattern turned out. And voila! Very nice, very precise too. But there will be other techniques that will greatly emphasize our colors. So now I lift it up, I reposition it and continue. Let's reposition the stencil, get this far, so we can finish the entire upper part. Obviously, we were careful to make a border, so later when the stencil turns, it will be easier. Now it's easy to reposition it. Just recenter cement tiles. We'll be gentle, even down here. And voila! We secure it well again with the masking tape and continue. I really like the result, a bit circus style, but elegant and modern. I like it very much. Now, if you have done what I have done up to now, you must be brave enough to sand. I say brave because when you do such a precise stencil, you might not want to ruin it, but that's the beauty of it. A patina also has wear. I put special sandpaper on my sander. It's a transparent, super microfiltered sandpaper that allows vacuuming all dust, so honestly, it doesn't seem like we sanded in the room. I connected the sander to my vacuum cleaner. I'm using 120 grit sandpaper. If sanding by hand without a sander, use a damp cloth, moisten the area, then use an abrasive sponge. This reduces effort and prevents dust. Wipe it down again with the cloth, and that's it. No dust in the air, okay. So remember, sander in hand, 120 grit sandpaper, and please, be careful with the dust. Let's remove the dust, and of course, the color becomes more vibrant. Let's add just a tiny drop, a little drop of clear sand into our bowl. And I add a little bit of water too, about 2 or 3 tablespoons. We flood it. This is our base for creating a much lighter mottling on the furniture. The trick to really doing it well is this. Hold a very well-wrung microfiber cloth in your hand and use a brush with somewhat stiff bristles, even an old one. In fact, I'm holding an oval 60 brush that's at least 6 years old, a real relic. If you already know how to do it, start on the front, otherwise begin on a hidden side. I recommend starting on a hidden side because you never know how the brush might splash on furniture. Depending on temperature and how much you dilute, it can change. Now I want to make this splash, and then of course I'll go over it with the cloth because I don't want it to be too obvious in some spots, while in others I want it to stand out more. Watch how I emphasize these drippings and then lighten it up with the cloth, like this. In some areas I leave it very visible, in others I lighten it almost completely. Like this, look, if you want to remove it with a damp cloth, it comes off. In other spots you can leave it. Why did I do the speckling? Or if we don't want to call it speckling, why did I stain it with this lighter color? To give it depth. Because if we play with lighter colors, in the end we try to add brightness, and colors in the background stand out. Look here, These lighter spots that are almost invisible, they give depth to the brown and colors around it. Jasmine Wax lets hydrate and protect the entire piece of furniture before the final step. Obviously, the wax gently tones the furniture, and as you can clearly see, it also makes the color a bit more vibrant. So always base your judgment on the protected colors to really understand the shades. My piece is almost finished, but I want to give it a slightly more aged patina, and today I've decided to use my liquid wax. First, I use Noyer Foncé, which is definitely more walnut, more structured, and then I use Clair, which is slightly reddish and also gives that delicate rusty effect. I don't want to cover up all the work I just did, but I do want to add depth. This is one of the reasons why applying colored wax, while the clear wax underneath is still soft, is such a good tip. So if you want to quickly remove the excess, never take off the excess clear wax that we just applied. Liquid wax is also amazing for staining wood. It's a product you should always have at home. It's fantastic. Look, I'm working on the surface, especially in the corners, where the layer of dirt would naturally settle a bit more. And that's what I'm doing. I'm really massaging it all over the surface. As you can clearly see, the speckling truly doesn't go away because these tiny little white droplets visibly stay there. Those very small spots are what really give significant depth to the overall restyling in the end. So now I'm spreading my liquid wax all over the place. I emphasize even more in the corners, of course, and if by chance I've applied too much, I can always remove it with a cloth. Obviously, a dry cloth. If you notice here, there is the underlying texture that was the very base. So the fact that I used a long nap roller and thoughtfully added Magic Star into the paint truly helps me because the beautiful patina naturally settles into the texture. First, I apply my Noyer Foncé liquid wax all over the furniture, and then I add a few touches with the Clair. Right now, the wax is setting, it's drying, and as you can see, if you go over it again, you remove some and this white part appears that gets created. Look here. By rubbing, the wax gently comes off and this patina forms. Here too, look at how the blue changes. In some spots, the dirt comes out, in others the patina appears. First you apply it, then you lighten it, and when the wax dries, you sand it. By sanding, this patina comes out. Now, if you want, only if you want, you can add some spots with a more rusty antiquing effect, like here, where the lock is, where the knob is, here, where there are the two, let's say, hardware pieces that hold the door and the knob below, maybe even the legs. These are a few tips you can use to make patina look more authentic. It's up to you. I'm keeping the same cloth I used earlier to make patina with the other wax because it'll help lighten it up. A pointed brush, so I pick up a little wax. I wipe off excess and look at the shade that comes out. As you can see, it's really different. It's almost impossible to replicate this shade. What I do is, first, I apply the patina like this, putting it where I need it, and then I blend it with the same cloth I used before. This really helps to add a touch of warmth, some heat, even to a patina that might otherwise feel too cold. Take a look. Since we have clear wax under, we can always lighten it. But remember, it has to be subtle. You can even add a little on the knob, if you like. And now let's move on to the other spots. Where there might be a bit of rust from age, I use this more reddish shade to give it an antique look. I move it around with the cloth because it makes everything look much more realistic than if I had dabbed it on with a brush. Like this. I also move it forward and backward so that everything looks more natural. When it dries, of course, it sets and stays well absorbed in the furniture. So it's not something you might or might not see. It will be very noticeable. Obviously, it changes when it dries. I finish with gold wax in spots and speckling. Surprise! This makeover is done too. And where would I put a spice rack but in the kitchen? I replaced it with my other old love, that piece of furniture in sunset blue. If you want to see it, it's in the tutorials. We made it about 2 years ago. But now I've moved it. I'll change things up. I like to change the position of furniture in the house, but I also like them to talk to each other. So remember that all Magic Paint colors can talk to each other. Here, for example, we've found the combination of a grayish blue, brown, sandy hazelnut base, and an antiquing effect that goes well with bricks. With a grayer floor, Magic Paint colors always look good together. As always, let me know in the comments if you liked it, if it inspired you, and see you at the next tutorial. But before you go, remember Magic Paint isn't available on Amazon, only from authorized retailers listed on magicpaint.it, organized by region, or from the only Italian website that sells it, elisirhome.com. Goodbye.